So I grew up in Delhi, and I grew up in a a very safe space in Delhi. It's a very it's a gated government colony. And even while I was growing up, my parents were always concerned about me not stepping out after 7 p.m. in the night. Um, Parties were out of bounds. We always had so many questions to answer. There's a big checklist for us. Who are we going with? How will we go? How will we come back? What time will we come back? And as I grew up, I started using the public transport, and then I went, to work in other cities. I went to Bombay, and I saw the difference. In Bombay, I could come back home at 3 a.m. in a cab. In Delhi, it was unthinkable. In Delhi, I could not even use public transport after 8 p.m. So the difference was so stark. And then I lived in the United States for a bit, and the more I traveled and the more I, experienced life in other countries, I realized that there is just so much that our city lacks, and this is the national capital. So the issue of women's safety is very close to my heart, because I feel that if we do not create safe spaces, women will never be empowered, and we will never enable them to really fulfill their potential. Because if, as a woman, I'm concerned about how will I get back home after a certain time, how can I give my 100% at work if I need to get out at a certain time, if I'm worried about these logistical issues? So the whole idea behind this was that, and even though Delhi carries the tag as one of the most unsafe cities in the world, there had never been a research that had been done to document it, to actually bring out like a paper of what are the most unsafe spaces, and why. What can the government do, or what can the authorities do to make our cities safer? So we conducted the survey across the city. We targeted the posh areas, the lower middle class areas, the rural areas, the urban poor areas. And our findings were startling, because we learned that basic administrative issues like lack of adequate lighting, dark turns, right? These are very basic things. It's that oversight was basically leading to those spaces becoming the red zone for women. Women would typically get like teased or harassed in a small dark corner. They would feel very unsafe if there were no street lights. So these very basic things, and we chronicled 100 such safe places across the city. We documented our findings, and we spoke to the Delhi police about it. We even the press was kind enough. It was reported across the world, in India as well, about what is it that's making Delhi unsafe. And we realized that greater lighting, more police presence on the roads would make women feel safer. And then we tried to use technology to enable women to take charge of their own safety. So we came up with this women's safety mobile application called Fight Back, which was essentially, you press a button. If you're in a vulnerable state, you press a button and the message will go out to 5 women or 5 people that are in your inner circle, and they'll be able to trace your journey as well. And but the idea was a little ahead of its time, because at that time mobile applications were not very common in India. So we had to really work hard into communicating what does it take for a mobile app is very easy, you can download it. We had to do a lot of knowledge transfer, and we worked on it with a company in Delhi called Tech Mahindra, and I think now they are managing the mobile application, because they have the entire logistics and systems in place for it. I think both things are very interrelated. Women feel unsafe for a reason, because you do hear and read about instances where women have been subjected to some sort of I would say they've been subjected to like a crime, or they've been they've been harassed, they've been teased. These are stories that you read about every day, and they're really happening in real life. So immediately, instinctively, you feel the need to be cautious because you don't want to be in that vulnerable state. Because I worked with several young colleagues of mine who had to use public transport because they don't have a car of their own, and they would really watch, what time are they leaving, what are they wearing, and they would they would request their supervisors that, can you please not put us on a night shift. I know for a fact that a lot of MNCs that work out of this country, work out of Delhi and NCR region, actually have cabs to drop their women employees back at night. So these are realities that Indian businesses also operate with, and women who navigate the city to carry about their daily life deal with. So I'm a journalist, and it was one of my stories that I was working on, which was, when states across the country were struggling to increase agriculture productivity, Madhya Pradesh was doing very well, which is in the central part of the country. And as part of my reporting, I went to a village in Madhya Pradesh, and there it was very refreshing to find out that these women in the village, who obviously, have had no or very basic education, they've always been homebound. Their key primary duties have been of a caregiver, of cooking for their family, looking after their family. But these were women who were very receptive to the changes that the government was communicating to them about introducing more innovative practices in farming, which would increase the productivity of their farms. So they were the first ones to adapt technology. They were right there attending classes and implementing them. So they were the key strategists in their homes, and their husbands were the implementers. And the husbands even said that, they said that, she's the one who's taken the lead, and I'm following her. And they work so hard. They wake up at 4:30 in the morning, they cook the meals, they go out into the farm, they're there till the afternoon, they come back when the children are back from school, they're with their children for 2 hours, then at 4 or 5 o'clock they're again back in the village teaching other women about these innovative farm practices. So I was completely in awe. And very fragile looking women, completely just very they've always lived a life of within their four walls, and there was this little window that had opened up for them, which showed them that if they do this, they can lead a better life. And they were so quick to learn and so quick to adapt. So that, and then when India was experimenting with this unique identity number that we have now called Aadhaar, so I traveled to Jharkhand, which is again a very backward region of the country, and there I met these women in a very rural area. No water supply, no electricity. They lived in these huts pretty much, so extremely poor, right? And there they were all queuing up to enroll themselves for this unique identification number. And I asked them, what is it that's exciting you about this project? They said, we'll get an identity because we don't have one, which means that they didn't have any document to show that they are residents of that area. This is their name, this is their age, nothing. And this will enable us to get us a bank account, which is huge, because they said if we have a bank account, we have control over our own money, because now we work very hard, we work in the fields, but all our money goes to our husbands, the male members of the family. And that means that they have no control over their life. They are, the men usually would end up spending that money on alcohol, and the women were scrambling for like basic things like food and just basic, very basic things, even though they were earning their own money. So this would give control over their own lives, and this would enable them to provide for a better future for their children. So they all said that we'll spend on our children's education and we'll spend on nutritious food. These are the two things that they will spend on. So fabulous insights, on what women are doing, and India's always had a history of very strong women. So we are a country where we have so many festivals around worshipping the goddesses, right? But I think over the years, somehow we've forgotten that, and somehow for some strange reason women became the weaker sex, and a lot of it has to do with our patriarchy, which is very inbuilt into our society, especially in the northern part of the country. But it's so refreshing now to see that women are fighting back, they're getting out of their comfort zones, they're pushing new boundaries, and they're taking charge. And it's not only in urban areas, it's happening across the country at the grassroots level. No, it was for an article that I wrote, and it was greatly appreciated by the government also, because surprisingly, or not so surprisingly rather, they completely missed this aspect of it, on how it will empower women a great deal. So they really liked that concept, that okay, it'll be a huge empowerment for women. So yeah.